back then. This is why you don't need any instructions, because you know what? You make a mistake or two, that just means you learned something.
Hey guys, Nightfall here, and today is the day. Well, the day was like 4 days ago for me from when you're seeing this, but today's the day that you get to see the day that I unboxed my new PC. So this is going to be a little bit different than my normal videos, obviously, and I know I'll catch some heat for this, but I don't do unboxing videos, so this isn't going to be the best unboxing video you've ever seen or that you'll ever see. The quality is terrible at times. I apologize. I don't have a great camera setup, but I did my best. What I do well, what I do well is talking to you all about stuff and just giving you my take on it. So the first couple minutes of this is just me taking things out of the box. Came with a nice little keyboard and a mouse that I don't need, and I didn't even know that I was getting. Apparently they were freebies that were included in the deal, but here they are. And if you haven't been able to tell, yes, this is a voiceover over the actual unboxing video that I took at a different time. It's just the best way that I could get it done so that it wasn't trash audio quality as well. And while you watch me struggle with getting the rest of the stuff out of the box, now I think it's a great time to tell you about our Discord. Yes, it's mostly XDefiant right now, but I am looking to possibly expand it into other games as well. We all have different opinions on games. We all like different styles of games. I like different games. So if you're looking for just a cool place to hang out and you like XDefiant or other FPS games, maybe stop on by, meet some cool people, chat with me, and just hang out. What's one more Discord server to the other 32 that you're already in? So after we got this behemoth out of its box, I set it on my desk and did the most satisfying thing that you could do to any new electronic, and that's peel the plastic off the glass. The next part, not so satisfying, pulling the styrofoam out of the insides, and this is cut down because I'm ashamed to admit how long it took me to get that second piece out. And then this is where my camera did some weird things. It was already grainy to begin with, but the whole rest of the unboxing is just unwatchable, which there really wasn't much to it. It was just a walk around the PC, but you don't really need to see all that. You've seen ports in the back of a PC before, and anything we need to point to, I have a stock image ready to go. So instead, you get to see this nice final form picture of it all lit up in the dark. But let's talk about the journey it took to get from taking that last piece of styrofoam out to this lovely setup here. With this PC, I ordered a few extra things like more storage because as a content creator, you can never have too much storage, and I'm learning that the hard way. And this case has the most convenient way to add more storage. This is the Height Y60 case for those wondering, and here's a stock photo of the back of it. And you see these two little drawers here with the screws on it. These unscrew and slide out, and you can mount SSDs, hard drives, anything really in there. It's meant for storage drives, and they are big. I was able to fit a 4 terabyte normal HDD in there and 2 SSDs in the other one, though you could probably fit a third or maybe even a fourth one depending on their size. It's just insane. Not to mention the motherboard also has 2 M.2 slots, so there's that. After I got all that squared away and wire managed the best I could, I was just about ready to set it up and get everything plugged in when Amazon showed up at my door with the additional RAM that I ordered. Now I did try to download more RAM on my old PC, but I figured this was just much better. So the PC came with one 16 gigabyte stick when I was planning on it having 2 8 gigabytes. So I could fill the other 2 slots with the 2 16s that I had ordered and have a total of 48. But no. They gave me 116, so that means I still tried to do all 3 like an idiot, and that's not how RAM works. So I had to take one out for it to even give me a display and boot up properly. And now I have one 16 gigabyte RAM stick on my desk that I can't use and can't seem to order just one of these because everywhere I look, they're in bundles of 2, and I really don't want to buy 2 more because if I buy 2, I'll have one extra one again. But maybe this video blows up and Team Group, which is the maker of the RAM that I'm using, will be kind enough to send me one. maybe. Emails on my channel page for inquiries. Anyway, I then had to go through the painstaking process of unplugging everything from my old PC and plugging it into the new one. I had a lot of pink sticky notes taped to wires to make sure I didn't forget any. And after I got everything set up correctly, I went through the new PC setup process. Took me a couple hours to re-download all my programs. And luckily I prepared in advance a little bit and had all of my stuff I needed, like documents, videos, pictures, all that stuff, saved on an SSD that I threw in the back of this one. So that part was easy. Once I got all that set up, I needed to get a video finished. So I figured I'd set up everything else later. And then I forgot OBS didn't pull all of my plugins or my settings for any of my filters. So of course, when I recorded the audio of me talking, it sounded like nails on a chalkboard. So I had to re-download the filters, turn on the old PC to get the settings, and again, re-record. Fast forward a couple hours later, where I need to record some gameplay from my Xbox from my capture card, the same capture card that I forgot to move from my old PC to my new one. Several screws dropped, and cuss words later, I got it fit in to the new PC, and then I opened it up and I got this screen, both on the capture card program and in OBS. This isn't my photo, it's one I found on Reddit, but this is exactly what was happening. So some quick research, I found out the PCIe slot that I plugged this into wasn't the correct speed or whatever. So remember those instructions I tossed aside? Yeah. So here's the manual, and you can see this is where I plugged it in at, and this is where it needs to be plugged in at. Problem is, if we go back to this still image of the unboxing, this white thing here has a name, forget what it's called for whatever reason. Someone let me know how stupid I am in the comments and tell me what it is. I think it's called a riser cable or something like that. Anyway, it basically goes into the PCIe slot as ribbon cables that extend out to another PCIe slot so that you can basically have an extension and plug your GPU in the way that it's positioned here without it having to sit sideways and sag on your motherboard, causing stress on any of the pins. Cool concept, except those ribbon cables aren't super long and they make it almost impossible to plug anything into either of the two bottom PCIe slots. But I tried anyway, and I quickly found out that the capture card doesn't have a low profile bracket on it, so it's not going to fit. So I had two options. Get another one of these doohickeys with longer ribbon cables and hook up the capture card, same way as the GPU, or order a low profile bracket and squeeze it in behind the other ribbon cables. I did neither of these. I took the bracket off completely because screw it, squeeze it in there anyway, which is very difficult if you don't have chipmunk hands, which I do not, but I got it in there and everything was good. That was until I was like, hey, I don't like those colors on my RGB fans and RAM sticks, let's change them. And that's when I quickly found out that it's not just the Gigabyte RGB Fusion app that I used on my previous PC that's trash, it's every motherboard's built-in RGB app controls. So I downloaded a open source program called OpenRGB, and after some fighting with that and Mystic Light, I was able to get it to recognize the fans and got it to be all the fancy colors you see here, which you might be able to tell that the fan all the way in the back is a slightly different fan and has a white light constantly on in the middle, and RGB is only on the outer ring, unlike the other two intake fans at the front where the entire fan is RGB. Thanks, Cyberpower. But it's all good. New fans are cheap. Might swap out to Corsair ones. I don't know. But if you're someone that loves tech and PCs and gaming, you're probably foaming at the mouth, scrubbing through the video, trying to find the specs. If you haven't already seen the chapters I made that hopefully work that can bring you to this point in the video. So let's pull up the various CPU ID screenshots to show you exactly what's in this thing. So for starters, everything is built on an MSI Pro B650 VC motherboard, which is powered by a Corsair RM1000X power supply. On that motherboard sits an AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D processor and an NVIDIA RTX 4070 Super 12GB graphics card. Paired with currently only 32GB of DDR5 6000 MHz RAM, which hopefully I can get that up to 64GB soon. Not that I really need that much, but tired of having this one stick sitting on my desk. It also came with a 1TB NVMe storage, which I've added more SSDs, like I said before, and of course, running on Windows 11. And if you're wondering how much this cost me, it might not be as bad as you think, but it would greatly help the channel if you hit that subscribe button to help me on the path to recoup the firstborn child that I had to sacrifice for this thing. So here's the actual order sheet. That's not the final total. Gonna have to wait a second on that. I did get this during the July 4th sale, and you could see all the same specs that we just covered before on the order sheet, and the grand total was $1,826.49, and that is in USD, which isn't bad when you consider that's about 400 less than my old PC when I first bought that one, which had an Intel i9 and a 2070 Super. And the only issues I've had with this PC's performance so far is the CPU idles around 53 degrees Celsius, which is a little too hot. So I'm not sure if the AIO is on properly or if the paste they used wasn't top notch, but I have a Thermal Grizzly cryo sheet coming soon, so hopefully we'll get those temps down and make sure that the AIO is seated properly. Also, if you're wondering what sort of performance we get out of this thing, I've only had the chance to play XDefiant on it, which on the highest settings and only turning off VSync and low latency gets me a steady 300 FPS, spiking up to about 350, 360 at times on 1080p. I do have my new 1440p 240Hz monitor coming soon, and if you want me to test the game on this thing, just so that you know what it runs at, so that you have an idea if you're looking to build a similar PC, let me know in the comments. Hopefully it's a game I already have, or it's a free game that I can test, and I can make a short and test it in either 1080p or 1440p and see what sort of frames it gets. So there you have it. If you made it here, then let me know in the comments if you prefer AMD or Intel CPUs. Overall, I really haven't noticed much of a difference in anything, but I'm curious to hear the feedback on this build. I'm sure I could have done better elsewhere on some aspects of it. And if you're in need of a new custom built PC that you can spec to your liking, I'd highly recommend you check out CyberPower PC. They're not a sponsor. They're not paying me to say that. I'm just a fan of their prices and overall services when it comes to custom built PCs. Also, you might want to stay tuned for tomorrow's video going over my predictions for the other factions coming in year 1 of XDefiant, and hopefully I'll catch some of you in the comments.